It's time to continue with the bicycle wheel rebuild. Yesterday I installed the spokes, and now I'm going to try and throw this up. Oh, the white paper is here to set the white balance. In the previous video I thought the footage was too saturated, but it was usable. At least the camera didn't change the color of my hands and make me look like I had spent a whole lot of time underneath the artificial sunlight. Here's my throwing stand, and as you can see, it hasn't been used in years. So I better clean this up first. Little brake cleaner. And I sprayed a little brake cleaner on the laptop. But it's an old one, it shouldn't really matter. I'll fast forward the video. This is probably just as boring as videos that show paint jobs. Okay, I think I got most of the dirt, fly shit and cobwebs. It's clean enough for me. I'm not completely sure how this thing should stand. I'm especially confused about this this part here. No idea. Anyway, you can adjust these two legs and fit the rim in between there. Something like this. How am I supposed to use this thing? So I'm assuming that this here is the bottom, but if I set that flat to the table like this, yeah, not sure. I think someone made a design mistake. Anyway, I will fight this thing and see if I can come up with a position that is usable for me. Well, I finally figured out that this piece goes underneath here and goes into these two grooves, and it can stand like this. And if I now insert the wheel, the scale on here is at the bottom, so I'm thinking maybe this should be on the other side, over here. So I'm going to take out these Allen heads and flip it to that side and see how that looks. These things are terribly tight and hard to turn. And it feels like they have been glued in place. There is some sort of Loctite stuff on there. Now let's see if this works on the other side. Not really. No, it cannot make the correct angle. Whoever designed this piece of crap is a fucking moron, or I'm a fucking moron. Which is more likely? Well, I will play with this a bit more. You don't have to listen to my frustration. Well, I've given up trying to figure this thing out. I think you're supposed to sit on a stool instead of standing next to a workbench, because from a lower angle you can read the scale here a little bit better. But it looks like there's a whole lot of screwing to do, and a nipple just flew out. I think I saw it land here somewhere behind the camera. Ah, there it is. Gotcha! And it came from this position. First I want to check if I can still fit a bicycle pump in here. So here's my bicycle pump, and here's the inner tube and the valve stem, and this spoke here is a little bit in the way. I'm installing the valve for a proper test. Now let's see if I can still fit the bicycle pump. This inner tube has a rather long valve stem. Yeah, I don't think that will be a problem. I can certainly live with that. You can go, Mr. Pump. You're done for now. As you can see, and also here, the rim is not completely round. It is slightly egg-shaped. Now the best way that I can think of to try and fix this problem is to loosen up a couple of spokes at the 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock positions. And after that I will tighten them up again, say 5 or 6 turns. And when that's all done, I will also loosen the spokes in between and tighten those up for the same amount. And since the stainless steel spokes are a little bit shorter, I will stay away from those for the moment. So I selected 4 positions around the circumference of the rim, and now I'm going to loosen these spokes or these nipples and tighten them up, say 5 or 6 turns. I have no idea if this is going to work, but it's the best plan I could come up with. Okay, I got both of them out, and now we'll reinstall them and try to tighten them up equally. Which is harder than I thought it would be. Well, I tried to stick to the plan, but I quickly lost track of the amount of turns I did with the screwdriver. So now I'm turning them in all the way till I no longer see or feel any of the thread on the spokes. And I will do that for all of the wheel except for the stainless steel ones, because they are a little bit shorter. And when I'm done with that, we will have a look at the situation. Well, I'm done tightening up the spokes till I no longer see any of the thread, except for the stainless steel ones, of course. It already looks a whole lot better, although it is a bit strange because some of the spokes are still rather loose. This one. The thread is gone, but still the spoke is rather loose. I think there must be a slight difference in some of these spoke lengths. So this one might be a little bit longer, as well as this one. Let's have a look at the front. I think the wobble in the height has certainly improved a lot. I don't think you will feel this when cycling, although it certainly can be better. There is still a lot of side-to-side movement. Now I will take this setup inside where it's nice and warm, and then I will try to improve the situation. I'll be back later. I've been turning the nipples for an hour or so while sitting at the kitchen table and watching some TV. You guys remember TV, right? It is what you did before YouTube became a thing. Anyway, this is what it looks like now. It's certainly not perfect, and I'm sure I could improve this a bit more, but it's good enough for me. The bicycle doesn't have any rim brakes, it has drum brakes, so a little side-to-side wobble shouldn't be a problem, and I doubt I would ever notice the height wobble. Besides, I'm sure this bicycle will not be used a whole lot. It will probably spend most of its life in a dark corner. One more thing. Some of the spokes came through the nipple while tightening things up. Here's one. There must be some slight variation in the spoke length. Maybe they somehow got stretched a little bit. I don't know. I thought about grinding them down, but that means a whole lot of extra work that I'm not willing to do right now. These are both of the rim tapes that I saved from the original bicycle wheel and the replacement wheel that my neighbor gave me. And I will be installing both of these, and hopefully that will be enough to prevent the spokes from poking into the inner tube. Okay, now the second one. If I can find where I left it. There it is. Now these rubber ones can break very easy. Hopefully it will stay in one piece, because gluing these things back together is a nightmare. Next I need to reinstall the wheel in the bicycle, but I'm not going to film all that because there will probably be a whole lot of undignified cursing, and I will probably have lost some of the parts that I need. But I will show you the bicycle. I had to move the table for this next shot, and that is especially for that one person that will ever get to see this. But I'm going to get the bicycle now. There's not a lot of room here. But here it is. I'll move it a little bit further so I can close the door. It's a junker, and I believe that's a B brand from Gazelle, a famous Dutch bicycle maker. The first thing that goes on here is a dust cover, and next there is a spacer, and I'm reasonably sure that this gear should be dished to the outside like this. It can be installed like this, but to be sure I will have a look at the footage that I shot before. But first I'm going to reinstall the tire. First the inner tube. The valve and whatever this thing is called, round nut. I hope I got the tire direction correct. %50 chance if it has a rotation direction. So the direction is that way, so it's going to roll like this. So that's good. I can continue. You're supposed to finish at the valve stem, or at least that's how my father told me. I think it is done like that to get enough room on the other side for the tire. Something like that. But it depends from wheel to wheel or tire to tire. One tire is easier to mount than on the other one. This one isn't too bad. Installed. Then you make sure that the inner tube is correctly seated into the outer tube, and give it a burst of air. Oh, you should also make sure that the inner tube isn't pinched between the rim and the tire. And you do this by pushing in the valve. So now the dirty struggle to put this thing back together can start. And I've already forgotten the chain tensioners. But I'm not going to expose you guys to my frustration and struggle. So I'm going to end this video right about now. Well, I managed to put things back together. And it wasn't too bad, I didn't lose anything. So I guess now we shall go for a test ride. Although the weather sucks today. But first we need some air. So that should be enough. Fucking roosters. A little finishing touch. And then we can go for a test ride. Well, luckily it stopped raining. Let's see if she still works. Well, at least it didn't collapse under my weight. I will now take you off the camera and then we go for a ride and maybe bring the horse a treat. Yep, it's the muddy season again. I should shift to a lower gear because with all this mud it's hard to cycle. And I cannot shift with the camera in my right hand. Yeah, I hate this time of year. All this mud. I'm going to make this short. Okay, we're at the location and I got some bread for the horse. And looks like he didn't drink a whole lot of water. I don't know if you can see it. There he is. Come here, jongen. He's a Frisian. Come! I'm going to put you down so I can open up the bag of bread. I guess the girls over there would also like a piece. Only a month ago this was all dry here. Now it is starting to turn into mud again. Ah jongen, dit is het. Ta. This is kind of awkward to film. Well, now I'm going to repair my own bicycle because that one broke as well yesterday evening. The whole tire blew out.